L. Sumner Studios and the George G. Beasley Media Complex. This is your college, your station, your music. Appalachian State University's 90.5 WASU-FM, Boone.
Pulls off three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Wins the game at the buzzer! Pass is caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. And Baez sends it deep to left. Pagan is there at the wall and it's in the basket! He's got his J-bag, folks, and the eye of the tiger. And the kick is blocked. Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports history.
It's time for Sports Wrap on 90.5 WASU-FM.
Happy Tuesday and welcome to another episode of Sports Wrap, sponsored by Eggers Law Firm, a full-service law firm in Boone, right over there on King Street, there to help you with all of your legal needs. But it's time for Sports Wrap. I'm Ben Cole, here with my guests Chris Affolter, Riley Carlson, Josh Scott, here to dive in to everything sports. Okay, so first things first, college football had an interesting week last week. There weren't too many big games, but there were some interesting outcomes and some games I feel like we weren't expecting to be good that ended up being very entertaining. For one, Penn State was still in the hunt for a playoff spot, potentially, Big Ten wide open, a lot of one-loss teams. But they got upset by Illinois in a game that went to 9 overtimes. Remember, for all you pro football fans, college football overtime is a different format. So after 3 overtimes or 2 overtimes, they just go to 2-point conversions.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, and it was pretty insane. It went to 9 overtimes. Illinois ended up getting the W. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but thoughts on it? I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah, first time in FBS history that a football game's gone to 9 overtimes. I wish it had gone to 10 just to say, double digits. But, it was a pretty crazy game considering, again, Penn State, 7th in the country at the time, playing an Illinois team that isn't really that good or hasn't been that good up to this point. But, I think this game exposed Penn State to the team that they really are. I mean, I think, you got an idea against Iowa how not great that they played, and Iowa, again, they didn't play great either in that game, but Penn State didn't play great. And then, of course, last week we saw the outcome of that game. They dropped from 7th to 20th in the college football AP poll. So, I think Penn State's shots, Riley, of making the college football playoff are pretty much over at this point.
No, their shots are completely over, and I would say that their defense, their offense wasn't terrible. I mean, they only scored 10 points, but their offense wasn't the problem. Their defense was the problem for sure. And they allowed so much. Literally, it wasn't even complicated. The scheme that Illinois had, they just pounded up the middle. And Chase Brown, their leading running back, had 223 yards and a touchdown. And then their backup McCray had 24 carries for 142 yards. So literally, they weren't doing anything crazy. They were just running the ball, and Penn State couldn't stop it, which is just sad. And then at the end with the whole overtime thing, which is just absolutely insane. Nobody wanted to win. Everybody had so many opportunities. They were both had that one pass to Penn State's quarterback, in the end zone. He
wide
dropped
open
it.
lane to the end zone.
And so, I don't know. Nobody wanted to win, but Penn State's not as good as I originally thought they were. So.
Yeah, especially when you look, when you break down the numbers, like you said, I think 357 total rushing yards for Illinois, and with this team, they haven't won 5 games. They've lost 5 games, but they certainly haven't won 5 games. So if you're 5-2, you're going up against a team like that, then you absolutely cannot give up that many rushing yards.
Yeah, this game, especially because I touched on it last week, and Big Ten offenses have been running the same scheme for the last 20 years, and I'm just going to go on a rant here because this is why, for people that don't like Ohio State, this is why Ohio State wins the Big Ten almost every single year, because they're the only team in the Big Ten that can consistently score.
Yes.
The Big Ten offenses have got to evolve. This game just proved to me that they have to evolve. 9 overtimes in a college football format is not a testament. When you're doing 2-point conversions, that is not a testament to good defense. And yes, the Big Ten has good defenses, but that is not a testament to good defense. That's a testament to bad offense. You should be scoring at least 50% of the time from the 2.5-yard line on offense. The game was 20-18, and it went to 9 overtimes. And yeah, there were a lot of mistakes too. I mean, just Illinois had a chance to win in like the 3rd overtime, dropped a wide open touchdown or pass in the end zone. Even in the normal overtime, like the first one, Penn State defensive back dropped an interception, and that could have sealed it right there for him. But just all in all, I mean, Big Ten offenses, you've got to come up with more creative plays. I mean, the 2.5-yard line, and it's just inside zones, and
exactly, they were just running up the middle. It was just like like the quarterback was in shotgun and just like right up the middle.
It's like high school football.
Yes,
it's hard to watch. But yeah, that's all I have to take away from that game. And yes, great points. I mean, I don't think Penn State is as good as they are hyped up to be this year. They even had Clifford in at quarterback this week. You got to be able to take care of Illinois and sell. And yeah, if they're rushing for 350 yards, sell out on the run.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, because I was watching Illinois throw the ball. They could not. So sell out on the run.
He's been their quarterback for quite some time now, hasn't he, Sean
decade.
Clifford? Yeah. kind of like De'Aaron King's been for Miami. Long time.
The only other thing I could take away from that game, it doesn't even have anything to do with Penn State and Illinois, is that the college overtime, the rules are amazing, first of all.
I do like it.
And NFL needs to switch to that now because they're trying to do this weird in-between thing where both teams have a chance, and it doesn't work. They need to switch right to college football because it's more exciting. Everybody has a chance, and I feel like the better team actually does come out and win that instead of whoever gets the ball first and the other team's defense is tired and the other team just goes and scores a touchdown. Yeah, exactly. Just like what happened with the Vikings, like you were saying earlier, Josh, before the show. With the Vikings and the Panthers. The Panthers defense was just tired, and the Vikings went 75 yards easily, scored a touchdown.
Would have at least had a chance to win the game, if not win it, period. So
exactly.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it was Bradbury for the Giants, but remember the clip where the Giants got so hype when they won the coin toss in overtime?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, that's ridiculous. It's because the coin toss almost determines the winner like more than 50% of the time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could not agree more. NFL overtime is a weird gray area in between. It's like just give both offenses a chance.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, Iowa State upsets an undefeated Oklahoma State. They were one of those teams that were kind of in the hunt. I don't have a whole lot to talk about on that game, but Iowa State was a team that I thought was going to be wildly overrated. They only have lost 2 games on this season. They are pretty good, so respect to them, and that will probably doom Oklahoma State's college football playoff hopes most likely. Do you guys have anything to touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, good redemption story for Iowa State. You know, they lost to Iowa, who I think is another team that has been exposed into a team that's not really that good. But I mean, you beat them or you lose to them by 10 in week 2, but you come back and beat an Oklahoma State team that's been red hot, and they've been pretty good at home. Iowa State has, so you can count on Iowa State most of the time when at home to come up big in a game like this. But yeah, congrats to the Cyclones for a big win.
Yeah, I think it was a great upset for Iowa State, and I think Oklahoma State was just never the 8th team in the country in the first place.
Yeah.
Like that's really high for a team. I mean, look, at the time they beat Texas, which at the time was like, all right, Texas is a good team, which now we know Texas is not that good.
Texas is never good.
Yeah, they beat Baylor, who Baylor's a good team, so I'll give them that win. But other than that, they really haven't played anyone crazy at all. So I don't know if 8th team in the country is right for them, and they got back to 15th, and that's probably where they should be about. So.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of highlights from this game earlier, and this was a great QB duel. I mean, both guys could really sling the ball, both Brock Purdy and Spencer Sanders, and they combined, I think, for 5 touchdowns between the two of them, and well over 500 yards passing between the two of them. So yeah, great QB duel. I love watching games like that, and that Big 12 offense, you see that a lot. So
you do.
The Big 12 offense meeting Big 10 defense, it made for just a great game.
Yeah. It's almost similar to the Arkansas team. You know, they were ranked really high early in the season, and they get exposed by Georgia. Similar situation with Oklahoma State. I think they got exposed to when they lost to Iowa State this past weekend.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good point. So moving on from that, going into the ACC, a little more local, a little more relevant to this community. NC State was, one of those teams, front runner for the ACC, still are, but they fell to Miami this past week in a close one. That was a fun game to watch, but thoughts on that? And with that being said, I mean, who's the front runner in the ACC now? Is it Pittsburgh, Wake Forest?
It wasn't a fun game for me to watch as a native Wolfpack fan, and my dad went there in college, and our house bleeds red and white, and to watch this team lose the way they did was very disappointing. Devin Leary was making good throws, but his receivers weren't catching them. Devin Carter is one receiver during the game who I thought should have made a couple of big catches, but couldn't secure the ball. I mean, Leary went 24 of 42, 310 yards, 2 picks, had a decent game going, but then Miami, you look at the other side, Tyler Van Dyke, he throws for 4 touchdowns and over 320 yards. That man went off this past Saturday night, but they deserved to win the game. They played it better than NC State did. It just stinks to see. That just shows how unpredictable NC State can be on a
That is true.
basis.
I feel like they do have one of these games in this part of the season every year.
Yeah, I think Wake Forest is definitely the runner, the
Most
favorite
definitely.
for. I mean, easily. I mean, you look at the records and everything. I think Wake Forest is easily the favorite for the ACC. And I was looking through. I was like, you know what? Maybe Wake has a chance. Like they're kind of local. Maybe they got a chance to make the top 4. And I was looking through it, and there's no way. I think if they win out, they're depending on a lot of teams to lose. And if Cincinnati keeps winning like they are, right now the top 4 are all SEC teams except for Oklahoma's the Big 12. But I don't think Oklahoma's going to stay there. But Cincinnati's American Athletic Conference. So as much as they would like to have an ACC team in there, I don't think they will. I think Cincinnati is going to be that underdog type team that they're going to keep in there, and they're not going to have 2 of those types of teams. So I think they'll keep Cincinnati in there, and then whoever. I mean, it's up for grabs. I mean, it could be Michigan, it could be Oregon, maybe it could be Ohio State, Michigan State. So I mean, it's up for grabs. But I think the Big 10, Big 12, somewhere in there, it's got is going to get that 4th spot. But I think Wake Forest for the first time in. I don't even know if they've ever won the ACC.
First time in school history.
They won the Orange Bowl in like 2005 or something.
That's the first time they've gone 7-0 in school history, so that's pretty
So then they've never won the ACC then.
No.
So yeah, I mean they got a chance to do that. I mean I'm sure Wake Forest would be rocking if that happens. So I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, I think Wake Forest is the favorite, like you said, and they are undefeated. So I think they're going to need to get past UNC because I know UNC's been probably one of the most overhyped teams we've had in college football in the last few years, and they're not as good. But, I mean, they're still UNC. They're still one of the better teams in the conference, so to speak. And I think Wake Forest is going to need to get past them before they can really start thinking about pushing for that ACC title.
Yeah, their schedule overall has been fairly tame up to this point. I mean, you haven't really played anybody other than Army last week, who has had a good, who got exposed defensively. But the last 5 games, you got Duke, UNC, like you mentioned, Chris, State, Clemson, and BC. I mean, I think those last 3 games will decide, whether or not Wake Forest deserves to be in that top spot. But I think they're ranked a little bit higher than they should be in the national rankings, but definitely the number 1 team in the ACC so far.
And they also shouldn't have a problem with Boston College. I mean, Boston College has improved a little bit from where they've been in past years, but they're nowhere near where they need to be.
They lost their starting quarterback, too.
Yeah,
exactly.
That is a big thing. I mean, Clemson's probably the hardest game remaining in their schedule. And I will say Wake Forest, I thought they did because they had a good year back in the early 2000s. They won the 2006 ACC championship against Georgia Tech. But yeah, best year since then. But going off of that, Wake Forest, it doesn't help giving up like 50 points to Army, definitely. But when I'm looking at the top 25, Michigan or Michigan State's going to lose because, they're going to play each other.
Play this weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alabama's going to play Georgia, so Alabama could potentially be a 2-loss team. If Wake Forest goes undefeated, and it's going to come down to not shooting themselves in the foot, I do think they have a very legitimate chance at going undefeated. It would be hard, in my opinion, to leave an undefeated Power 5 team out. Even if their schedule isn't that hard, it's just so hard to go undefeated in college football, especially in a Power 5 conference, even though the ACC has been weak this year. I don't know, just looking, it would be hard to be on the committee and leave out a Wake Forest team that goes undefeated over like a 2-loss Alabama team, even though I think the 2-loss Alabama team is better, or, for instance, a 1-loss Big Ten team.
Alabama, I think, would still get into the playoffs because they're Alabama.
Because they're going to lose to Georgia.
Is the playoff format still 4 teams?
Yes.
Okay, this is why they need to expand it right here.
Yeah,
good point.
I am not going to get into a big discussion about expanding it. I definitely think it should be maybe capped at 8 teams, maybe 6.
I think 6, it would be a good middle ground because it's more than 4, it's less than 8.
And you're giving teams like these undefeated
And you wouldn't have to
group of
worry
five
about
teams.
deciding between this Wake Forest team or this Cincinnati team, which has been
Yeah.
on an absolute tear. I can't talk.
Yeah,
But if you look at college football, I mean, if you're on the committee, I know their job is to look at the best team. What is going to be the best team? Which, first of all, Alabama, I think, is better than Wake Forest. I mean, that's
Well,
just
yeah,
no doubt about
yes.
it.
I'm just
No
and
question
these-
about that.
Yeah,
But then also you got to look at the committee is going to look at what team is going to generate them the most money in these big games. I mean, people are watching these games and are like, and Alabama, more people are going to watch an Alabama game than a Wake Forest game. I mean, I realize they're going to be rooting for a lot of people are going to want to root for the lower school, but at the end of the day, more people are going to watch an Alabama game. And if Alabama's a 2-loss team and they lost to Georgia, they're going to get in over Wake Forest
yeah.
any day.
And Alabama was a bad example. They will potentially be like the only two-loss team in there, but the college football does have a way of sorting itself out, like mid-season or like mid to late season in these stages. It is very easy to have all these hypothetical conversations, but like when teams like Michigan and Michigan State are inevitably play, they do sort themselves out. But I'm just saying it'll be interesting to see what happens if there are several one-loss teams out of the Big Ten, or even Oregon remains at one loss, and then you have an undefeated Wake Forest, just because it's so hard to go undefeated. But won't jump into that too much. Looking ahead to Week 9, App State coming off of that huge win against Coastal here at the Rock. I'm sure everyone is still hype after that. Won't jump into that because I know we've talked about it a lot, but they have ULM coming up this week. And that was a big game for App against Coastal too, because they are now in the driver's seat for the Sun Belt Championship. Even though they lost to Louisiana, Louisiana's in the other division. So App kind of has control of their own destiny now. Do we see them making another Sun Belt Championship appearance?
Yeah, I think that's going to be unanimous here.
I agree. I think they can definitely control. I mean, they definitely control their own destiny at one point. I think if we do get to face Louisiana, which is looking more and more likely that Louisiana will be that other team in the Sun Belt Championship, I think revenge will certainly be on App State's mind. But yeah, looking forward to this weekend. 27-point favorites. I think it's going to be at home too.
Who would you bet on? 27 points. Who would you bet on?
Like
You
over
or
or
out?
under on the spread?
Yeah, over under.
I go over.
Oh, okay.
I go
okay.
over. Yeah, I go over. I think, and looking at this game, I think App State has struggled to start well at home. But if we have that aggressive play calling that Frank Ponce, our offensive coordinator, had last Wednesday against Coastal Carolina, I don't think this should be too much of a contest. I think App State runs away with this one. But again, we've struggled to start well at home. But again, ULM should be, even though they're not as bad as they were last year, like you mentioned, Ben, before the broadcast. I think this should be an easy game, though.
Yeah, I agree. ULM gave up to South Alabama. They gave up 320 yards and 4 touchdowns to Jake Bentley, who what a career that man has had. First of all, going from South Carolina to I don't even know what now he's ended up. I didn't even know he was on South Alabama, but he's not a good quarterback, and he was 30 for 41, no interceptions, 4 touchdowns. I mean, he went insane. So I think Chase Bryce, after what he did this week against Coastal, I mean he's going to go off if we pass the ball. I mean, we should start out with the run. I agree, but I think we can absolutely destroy the secondary, and we'll destroy them, and App State will eventually probably win the Sun Belt, hopefully, if we can beat Louisiana. So
Yeah, I think last game was Chase Bryce's prove it game.
Agreed.
He really did step up and prove himself that game, and he shows why he deserves to be the number one guy. And I thought he looked a lot better in this game than he had earlier this season. He had quite a few good passes out there, and I watched that game, and it was just a great game to be at, too.
I think this will be a good test, though, for our players, Ben, because coming off of a big win as Coastal Carolina was, you want to keep that momentum going. You want to keep, football players want to have that short memory for the good and the bad games.
Yeah, you
don't
want to get too cocky, especially when you're going from a ranked team who was 15th in the country to somebody who's unranked and who you've always seen as sort of like beneath you in the conference.
It can be a trap game, and I think, you mentioned Chase Bryce, Chris. I think this game is going to be important for him because it'll establish a consistency that he has not really had in his college career for the last few years. So yeah, this weekend could be a trap game, but yeah, I think Chase Bryce will need to prove his consistency this weekend.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think these are good points. App State, as long as they don't really mess up, they should find themselves in the Sun Belt Championship again. And I like the points. You don't want to look at this ULM team and think, all right, easy win, because exactly, short memory for the good and the bad. You do not want to be just too hype and looking down on them and go into this game at home.
Don't play down to your opponent.
Yeah, never play down to your opponent.
They may be the worst team, but
and they are, and give them credit because they really have improved. I mean, this is a team that's usually bottom in their division every year in the Sun Belt. They're 4-3 this year, and one of their 3 losses was at Kentucky to open up the year. Who Kentucky we see is a
also
pretty good team. Yeah, so don't look down on them. You still got to come out and play a full 60-minute game.
Second in the West Division too, behind Louisiana.
I almost disagree with the whole short memory thing. I mean, I think you have short memory to a point, but I think you can't what we did against Coastal Carolina was awesome. I think the best teams build off that momentum. So if you're not if you're thinking that you're just going to forget what happened and just kind of, maybe not completely forget what happened, but just kind of move it by and just go straight to ULM. I think the best teams literally, look even the NFL, where they just build off win after win after win, and they're almost unbeatable just because it's like they start the game up 10-0 before the game even started. So I don't know. I want to see this whole Coastal thing just turn into a huge momentum booster for the rest of the year.
I agree, but I've seen this App State team do this too often. I don't even know if App has won a game as a ranked team. I don't want to confirm that, but I believe every time App State has been ranked, they have lost. Why? Because App gets hype after big games, and we go and underperform, for instance, against teams like Georgia Southern when we have South Carolina the week after. And that's one of the things I was actually going to touch on. App State should make the Sun Belt Championship. They have the talent to do it. But
Absolutely.
Georgia Southern last on that schedule, and that has been a hurdle for App State. That triple option, for no reason. The triple option is an offense you run when you don't have a good quarterback and you don't really know what to do. It's a high school type offense, and yet App State has not been able to stop it. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we are better prepared this year, but I think it's all about preparation, and I wouldn't be thinking about the Coastal game. I would be watching film, focusing on this new ULM team. Completely different team, completely different scheme. Got to focus week to week. But I do hear you. You definitely want to ride off your own confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But going off of that, let's get to our pick'em segment. I got 3 games here I want to dive into in college football. Week 9. First, the inevitable, what I was talking about earlier. Michigan is clashing against Michigan State this upcoming week. Both undefeated. Who do you think gets the W?
Ooh, it's a tough one, boys.
I'm personally going to go with Michigan State here because Harbaugh in the past has clearly shown a tendency to choke, and I just don't see him giving that up yet. I don't think he's ready to give it up yet. Maybe this is his one last choke before he finally cements himself as a good college coach. But so far, we haven't seen that from him, and I don't think we'll see that against Michigan State.
Yeah, I originally had, before I walked in the building today, Michigan circled. I said, it's going to be Michigan, but I didn't give it that much thought. And before I left my apartment, my roommate Mark, who I think is listening right now, so shout out Mark. Mark was like, Harbaugh, what you just said, Harbaugh has not had a good past and he's blown up. And now I was like, you know what? I don't trust Harbaugh. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with Michigan State here. And it's a gut feeling. So I don't know. As your number 1 leader in picks, but I'm not going to say that too much.
You have a pretty good record coming into this week. I'll give you that much, Riley. As much as I want to go with Michigan State, I think they're a good team. I think Michigan, though, this could be the year where Jim Harbaugh proves the haters wrong.
You think Harbaugh breaks the curse this year?
I think they do. I think they used the last time these two teams met, the muffed punt, which resulted in Michigan State taking the dub in the Big House a couple of years ago. Sean McDonough, one of my favorite commentators of all time, had a great call at the end of that game. I think the curse is broken this weekend. I got the Michigan Wolverines taking down the Michigan State Spartans.
Okay. I love the Harbaugh points. I was going to touch on it actually for my college football playoff prediction, but I like Michigan State in this one. They're the home team. They are not favored on the spread, which is pretty surprising. Michigan favored by like 4.5. But yeah, Harbaugh, not a single statement win in his tenure at Michigan. Not a single statement win. That is so problematic. That is so problematic. It's like, and kind of back, I don't know, I kind of like this comparison. App State fans blowing up at a 9-3 season, but it's also like, you lost the 3 games that actually matter.
Yeah, like the Georgia Southerns, the Marshalls, and the Miamis, or whatever.
Yeah, and the Louisiana, the Coastals. Not this year, though.
Yeah, not
talking about last year. Yeah. But that's kind of where I'm seeing this. It's like, yes, Michigan is always a good team, but they never win the big games. I don't think they do it on the road here. I like Michigan State. Going off of this, do you think the winner of this game likely wins the Big Ten championship?
I'm going to go ahead and say yeah.
Me too. I think most likely that'll happen.
I don't know. I think we're going too quick. Everybody's just saying yeah. Whoever wins. It's such a close game for a reason. I mean, whoever wins is going to win the Big Ten championship. I don't know. I think there's multiple. A lot of teams got a shot, and I wouldn't count out any team in this division so far. So I'm gonna leave anybody else.
You certainly can't count out Ohio State either. They're always the juggernaut in the Big Ten. So definitely do not forget about Ohio State.
Exactly. I was gonna say I agree, Riley. I was gonna say no, and I have it. I already think Ohio State will, for the reasons I said earlier. I think they're the only team that can consistently score. They got their one bad loss out of the way. Their defense can figure things out. And I don't see Harbaugh, even if Michigan does win this game, I do not see them beating Ohio State. But speaking of Ohio State, they're going on against the Nittany Lions this week. Penn State coming off of that bad loss against Illinois. Who you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State here. As much as I hate to say it, I hate Ohio State. They lost against Illinois last week. That's going to kill whatever momentum they had, and this game is in Columbus, so I don't see Penn State putting up too much of a fight, honestly.
I agree. I think Ohio State takes care of business. Penn State, we've already touched on it. They haven't been as good of a team as people thought they were going to be heading into this season. They got exposed by Illinois last week. You could use that loss to fix things, but I think unfortunately there will be some mistakes that will bleed into this next matchup, and Ohio State takes care of business. Riley,
hot take: Penn State is going to win this game. It backs up against the wall. I think they're going to win. I'm picking Penn State. Hopefully, I mean this might be the week. Michigan might win. Ohio State might win. I mean my picks might blow up. All right, but I'm gonna go. Ben can't believe it. His hands are on his head. I'm going with Penn State this week. I really think they're going to win.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. They're going to have to fix their run defense. Ohio State has a great running back in Travion Henderson. So
it's
if they
feeling.
can fix the run defense, they're still going to have to watch out for the pass.
It's a gut thing. Inside.
What's his record coming into this week? Do you know? Do we know Riley's record?
Riley is like 8-3 or something.
So he can back up this big prediction here.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's what I'm saying.
He did predict the Patriots would go to the Super Bowl too at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, we don't we don't talk about that.
I don't know. I mean, Penn State has just not looked good at all. And they're on the road in this one. Ohio State is only getting better and better after their one bad loss that they got out of the way. I mean, Ohio State is just, they're going to put up so many points. And Penn State, if there's one thing I'm going to take away from this matchup and why I think Ohio State's going to win, Penn State cannot score. Even with their starting quarterback, Clifford was back last week against Illinois. They put up 20 points, 9 overtimes. Ohio State is going to put up at least 35 in this game. Penn State is not. I don't see it. Ohio State's favored by 18.5. I love the tenaciousness.
Bring the haters.
Let's not forget the last time that Ohio State played a ranked opponent at home too. It was Oregon, and the outcome of that game we all know what happened. They lost.
That is true.
I'm sure that will be in mind for the Buckeyes.
But I would even. Oregon gives me more confidence than Penn State, who we saw. Yeah, it'll be interesting. And what did Oregon do to win that game? They scored a lot of points.
Yes.
So that's my biggest takeaway from this.
Played good defensively too.
I like it, Riley.
Let's go Nittany Lions.
Okay. Last game in the Pick'em: Ole Miss versus Auburn. Auburn back in the top 25. Who you guys got?
This is going to be a tough one. Auburn's going to be at home. Ole Miss probably the better team this year though, but I'm going to go with Auburn.
Ooh. I have to go with Ole Miss, especially after what I saw with Auburn a couple weeks ago, where they almost lost to Georgia State. Was it Georgia Southern?
It was Georgia State.
It was Georgia State. That's what I thought. Yeah. I think Ole Miss is the better team, and Ole Miss will come out with the victory.
This one's tough, boys. I'm going to have to go with Chris on this one. I think the Auburn Tigers get the dub. They're coming off of a big win. I mean, I wouldn't say a huge win, but a big win against Arkansas last week, 38-23. And we know late in the season, we've seen Auburn pull off some miraculous, dare I say the word, upsets at home. And Ole Miss, I think Matt Corral, again, their quarterback is legit. I've picked them the last few weeks to win the game, but I think the buck stops here. I think the Auburn Tigers take this one.
Yeah.
It'll be really close, though.
Yeah, this is a very interesting game because Auburn has not looked great this year. But they are a second half of the season team usually. And Ole Miss in recent weeks has just not looked convincing to me. Defense all over the place, inconsistent. I don't really know how I feel about them. And Auburn is going to be at home for this one. I think I'm going to go with the Tigers too here. And kind of, they are the lower ranked team. They are favored, I think, mainly because they're at home. But I like Auburn here. I got a strange feeling as well. So.
Y'all, I may very well be close to 500 after this week.
I don't know. This game's going to be a toss-up. But real quick, before we go to break, college football playoff prediction. We're about to be at week 9. Who do you think are going to be the 4 at the end of the season?
Georgia, Cincinnati, Ohio State, and Alabama. I think the 4 that are in. Well, no, Oklahoma's in the top 4 right now. I don't think they stay there, even though Caleb Williams has been playing very well in Spencer Rattler's absence.
Still too shaky, almost losing to a 1-5 Kansas.
Ohio State's going to prove this weekend that they belong in the top 4. I think that's my 4 that I go with.
I agree with you. I don't think Oklahoma is a top 4 team, especially with their whole quarterback situation. They don't know what's going on.
You think Ohio State is making the college football playoff, but you just picked them to lose.
Wait, that's actually facts. Hold on a minute. Y'all are pointing me out. I didn't even think about that. Give me 1 second. Hold on, because I was looking at it and I was like, man, Ohio State's going to make it, but I forgot. I picked them to lose. So Ohio State's not going to make it. Wow. That's funny.
You have a Big Ten team in there, though?
I don't know at this point. Come back to me.
Okay.
Come back to me. I'm looking.
All right, I'm gonna say Georgia, Cincinnati, and then I'll throw in Michigan State.
Ooh,
wow.
Michigan State, and then let's see what else we got here. I'll say Alabama.
Alabama always seems to weave their way in
Yeah.
the college football playoff. Every single year it seems to happen.
It's true, yeah.
It's weird to have a college football playoff without it.
Josh,
It's like Christmas without Santa Claus.
it has started to feel that way. Josh, I'm with you. I got Georgia. I think they're the best team in college football right now, and objectively, Cincinnati, just looking at their schedule, they're likely to remain undefeated. Alabama could potentially be the only 2-loss team in the playoff, but they're going to get it done. And if Georgia loses, Georgia's still going to make it because their loss will be to Alabama.
Yeah.
And then, Ohio State, because, again, I think they're the only team that can consistently score in the Big Ten. Harbaugh can't win statement games. I think they end the season with 1 loss and get in 2, and I don't think Oklahoma remains undefeated. Even if they do go undefeated, it's going to hurt me to see them make the playoff because it's like they were neck and neck with a 1-5 Kansas team. They didn't even get it figured out this season until they brought in their backup quarterback.
Came from 28 points behind to beat Texas in Texas. So,
but with that being said, Riley, do you have your final selection?
All right, it has to be a Big Ten team. I don't like Michigan, and since I picked Ohio State to lose, it's not going to be Ohio State. So I'm going to have to go with Chris and say it's Michigan State.
I like how this is just
I love this.
based off of your other one.
No, it has to be because I can't go back on myself now unless I go back and change my pick to Ohio State, which I'm not going to do. It's Penn State. And yeah, I guess it's Michigan State or Oregon, but I don't really think it's going to be Oregon. I guess Michigan State, and I'm rooting for Wake Forest. That's who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I would like to see Wake Forest somehow get in there by miracle. But we just finished up talking college football. When we come back, we're going to be talking NFL and then hopefully have enough time to talk about this World Series that has Game 1 tonight. But you're listening to Sports Wrap, sponsored by Eggers Law Firm on 90.5 WASU-FM.
Eggers Law Firm is a
listening to Sports Wrap on 90.5 WASU-FM, sponsored by Eggers Law Firm, the full-service law firm on King Street for all of your legal needs. If you got a parking ticket, highly recommend them. I've gone there before.
So you got some experience there, Ben?
Oh yeah, I got that lead foot. But we just wrapped up college football talk. We're gonna switch gears, turn into the NFL and pro football. It's another weekend in the pros, but locally speaking, first, we were talking about it last week, the Toilet Bowl. New York Giants are going at it against the Carolina Panthers, who a lot of people here are fans of. The Panthers got kind of whooped they did get whooped by the Giants, 25-3. Embarrassing. Panthers fans, what do you got to say about it?
I'm fuming right now. All right, listen. He's fuming. Matt Rule going in before this week was like, we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball as much as possible. Passing didn't work last week. We're going to run it. Okay, cool. The first drive, you run the ball 7-8 times. All right, perfect. That's your best drive of the entire time. You have 3 points after that drive, which is the only points you scored in the entire game. And then you decide to go back on that and end up passing twice as much as you end up running, which is a 5-3 game. You're not like coming back on so you're not down by 20 or anything. It is 5-3. All right, Matt Rule needs to get his act together. Joe Brady, he comes up in this single back formation with 2 wide receivers. It's the same thing every single time. It's so embarrassing. It's so bad, and it's like it's not even like. All right, I'm gonna calm down.
He's too bad.
All right, so. Expect something big in the near future, whether that's a Deshaun Watson trade, which I don't certainly agree with.
I was about to say I'm gonna get to all that stuff, but yeah, keep going.
Or a Matt Rule being fired at the end of the year. Okay, because this is embarrassing, and I know Tepper doesn't want this at all.
He doesn't. He doesn't. And this game this past Sunday is the type of game where somebody gets fired. Somebody gets let go from the team, from the coaching staff. It's amazing to me. And Riley, I know you touched on a bunch of this, that I just don't know what to think of this team right now. Again, we started out 3-0 and then you lose 4 straight. First of all, I don't know if you go into the opposing team's stadium telling them what your plan is.
No, that too. Yes.
You don't go into a stadium telling them your offense.
Yeah, I was about to say, is this reverse psychology?
It just doesn't make any sense for me. But the 3 big issues I see on this team. I've mentioned it many times on the show. Offensive line. Doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Offensive line is going to make you look good or bad, or make you look bad or worse. And injuries on this offensive line have hurt us. And the only person I feel confident right now on our offensive line is our right tackle, Taylor Moton. He's the only person on the offensive line who I feel like is consistently protecting or doing his best to protect Sam Darnold. And then going on to Sam Darnold, I'm convinced now he's not the answer. He's not the answer for this team. It's 7 interceptions in the last 4 games, I believe. So it's just, and he doesn't make great decisions,
by the way.
Throwing. And the third thing, too, guys, I think what's hurting this team a lot too is the overall injuries. Our star player on offense is not on the field. Yeah. Our first round defensive player is not on the field. Our captain of the defense, Shaq Thompson, is not on the field. Plethora of injuries have hurt this team. I think, and that's why I'm not willing to give up on this season yet. I think give this, give a couple more weeks, get everybody back healthy, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I'm just very, very disappointed over the last 4 weeks of this Panthers team. I really thought that all 4 of these last 4 games have been winnable games, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not a big NFC South guy. As some of you know, I'm a Washington football team fan, so at least you guys have a name. Losing to the Giants is just shameful on y'all's part. I've been watching the Giants for a lot of years, as they've been in the same division as the Redskins when they were the Redskins, and they were like the only team that's had any sort of consistency in that division is Dallas, and Dallas even then hasn't had that much consistency. And while Dallas has been the best team in that division, the Giants have been consistently one of the worst teams in that division, except for the Eli Manning years and those later years. But yeah, just shame on the Panthers for losing to the freaking Giants.
Yeah, I hear you. As a Giants fan, woo! Woo! Big win. 2-5. Yeah, I want to touch on what Riley kind of brought up because I have some questions to pose because this is an interesting point in the season now for the Panthers. When you
By the
get
way, a great catch by Daniel Jones.
Oh, yeah, I
on
know.
Sunday. I can't believe he made that catch.
Yeah, that was a great catch, showing off the athleticism.
Better than Robbie Anderson.
There are really times where I think like, oh wow, Daniel Jones is kind of like that, but he's not. I'm not gonna fool myself. But yeah, at this point in the season for the Panthers, do you think Matt Rule is the right guy for this rebuild?
No way is he the right guy for the I mean, listen, he's proven himself at Temple. He and the colleges before that he can build a program up. But I don't know if he can do it at the NFL level. And he keeps going back on himself all the time. He's like, Sam Darnold's my quarterback. Sam Darnold's, and then he starts talking about how Sam Darnold's playing bad, and then he benches him. So it's like, what are you talking about, dude? And then you go in and like you said, it's not good to tell the other team the game plan before you even go in. And then he's blaming this all these losses on the team, and then he goes into saying Sam Darnold needs to play better. Sam Darnold's not playing well. And I don't think you do that to your QB1. Like you can't say that when your offensive line's playing terrible, everything. And then he earlier this week he was talking about how he needs to go to Joe Brady. He's explaining things like a second grader. He's like, all right, yeah, we need to go to Joe Brady and say I'm going to have a meeting with him, and we need to do a lot of things better. It's like, thank you.
Yeah, can I touch on this? One, I love how you're talking about how he contradicts himself all the time. Former sports director Gray Salter actually had a super funny tweet. It was like literally 4 or 5 days ago. Matt Rule was like, we're bought in on Sam Darnold. He's the guy for us. And Gray Salter quoted it and was like, this means we're probably going to make a move for Deshaun Watson like right now. Days later, Panthers are interested in a trade for Deshaun Watson. So that was spot on. And then, yeah, in the press conference talking about offense, actually, just you guys, I'm going to get you.
I don't agree with that, Riley. I mean, I think Matt Rule does contradict himself when he says one thing. He really means another most of the time, which does not look good on a head coach in general. But I mentioned the injuries about this team. Your star player, Christian McCaffrey, has played 6 games in the combined 2 years since Matt Rule has taken over as head coach. Again, and multiple injuries on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think that a fully loaded roster for Matt Rule can let him down in that kind of sense. And I think, again, Matt Rule has shown us in the past, even though it was at the collegiate level, you take Baylor and Temple, you've rebuilt them into good teams, and they've gone from there. I'm not willing to give up on him yet. I think it's more of the offensive play calling on Joe Brady's part, in my opinion. That's more of the coaching issue, but I'm not willing to give up on Matt Rule yet. I think he just needs a little bit more time. Well, so again, it's definitely showing, though, he is contradicting himself, like you said.
So would you say it's more of a Joe Brady thing?
I think it's more of a Joe Brady issue.
I think in general, it's like in the press conferences, they're like, all we have to do is run the football well.
What?
At the NFL level, like, why are you saying works. All we have to do? Like, do you think...
you still have to play defense too. Come on, guys.
You gotta attack each game at different angles. You have to have different ways to win games every week. You cannot just be a one-dimensional team.
It looks like we have the same game plan going into every week, especially on offense, which that might be a Joe Brady thing, like you were saying. But then it's like we don't know what we're doing. It looks like we're like trying different things and seeing if they work. Like taking Sam Darnold out of the game and putting PJ Walker in. He's like, I don't know. I guess need to spark. I don't even know. He's just trying different things and see if they work. And it's like, do we actually know what we're doing? Are we trying? What do we want out of this program? And it's embarrassing as a Carolina Panthers organization who's a win now team to go out and do this kind of thing. So.
I think as Panthers fans, all you guys can do is hope that Matt Rule is Doug Collins before Phil Jackson comes in and saves the day.
Yeah. Going off of that, still talking Panthers, the Deshaun Watson stuff is circulating. Do you think, and I'm just going to go and put out there, no, I hate this so much, but do you think it is the right decision for the Panthers to even be looking at Deshaun Watson and trying to trade for him, A, when you have been from day one talking about how you're bought in on Sam Darnold, And I don't know, that would just throw all of that out of the way. Like, let's just ruin the team chemistry even more. And B, when you still have people like Cam Newton sitting at home.
Oh my gosh! I can't believe you just said Cam Newton. That makes me so excited. Like, actually, like if we sign Cam Newton back,
Well, I don't think they will.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Jason said in our group chat earlier today that we burned too many bridges with Cam. Maybe it wasn't Jason; it was somebody else. But
maybe,
yeah, maybe.
But Cam is also desperate too. I mean, he's got to want to come back to Carolina. Maybe. Man, I could be wrong.
Well, I was just saying these factors. Like, why are you even going for Deshaun Watson when you have like Cam Newton at home?
Mm-hmm. I don't like this move or this potential move for Deshaun Watson. I understand the reasoning behind it. Deshaun Watson is miles ahead better than Sam Darnold, miles ahead as a player, and he would be able to play now, according to Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network. They said that if a team were to sign him, he'd be able to jump on the field in the next game. But you've got 22 criminal cases hanging over his head that have not been settled by the NFL, which is ridiculous to me. I cannot believe they have not tried to at least come to a conclusion on whether he's guilty or not of these charges. But they've just kind of shelved it. And you've got those cases hanging over his head. This man could be in jail in the next year or two.
And that's going to be too much of a distraction, I think, especially with all this or everything else that this Panthers team is going through. Deshaun Watson's just going to bring probably all the wrong energy and just too much of the wrong kind of media coverage.
You don't want to sign a guy and have him be off the team in less than a year or two.
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense.
It cries desperation for me for this Panthers organization to just they want to win now mentality so bad. This is absolutely not the right way to do it.
Winning takes time, especially rebuilding a culture that David Tepper is wanting to build with the Panthers. That takes time. It doesn't happen in 2 years. It doesn't happen in 3 years.
How old is Christian McCaffrey?
24, 25.
Old enough to get traded.
Yeah, I can see why they want. I can see why you want to be in the win now mode, because you don't want to waste your best player's career.
Yeah, but
he's already, like you said, 24, 25.
What they need to do, what this front office needs to do, and they've done it a little bit in the offseason. I wish they've done it more. You invest in the offensive line. That's what you need to do.
Yes.
Develop Brady Christensen at left tackle. Again, Deontay Brown is on IR. Get him healthy. See what he can do at right guard. Draft more players in the draft.
Yeah, it's hilarious to just be like, we just need a good quarterback.
No, a good quarterback is not good without a good offensive line.
We just need to run the ball well.
Yeah, all we have to do.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. None of it. And my answer to the whole Deshaun Watson thing, it depends on the trade. I know there's a lot of hate and everything, but if they actually are saying, I want 3 first-round picks, like the rumors have been saying, we cannot give away 3 first-round picks when we don't have picks in general anyways, because we've not wasted them, but used them all on other trades like C.J. Henderson and Stephon Gilmore.
We don't have a second or a third-round pick, I believe, in this April's draft right now. So we would only get 1 pick in the first draft and then wait 2 more rounds until the 4th round to actually have a chance to select another player. So it's not a good situation.
It's such a messy situation. I don't like it at all, and I'm not one to speculate, but when you have 22 of anything saying the same thing, it does not look good. And it's just so desperate. I mean, you're willing to give up first rounders, 3 of them, for a person that could be in jail in any number of days. Do not like it at all.
I'll say this one more point too. Again, you don't have to be desperate or make desperate moves when you don't have to. Tom Brady is on the tail end of the end of his career. He's not going to be the quarterback in Tampa for the next, at least for the next half decade. Jameis Winston is inconsistent. Who knows what his QB situation will be in the next year or two. Matt Ryan is about to retire as well. He doesn't have many years left either. So,
every other team's going to be going after quarterbacks too.
Exactly, and the Panthers could be in a position where they could get ahead of these 3 teams in the quarterback game, but. And again, you don't have to force the desperation if you don't have to.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting, just to say the least, to see what the Panthers decide to do. But, also just talk about you're not going to have a bunch of people liking your football team if you make this move either.
You
at least
won't.
not
That's
right
exactly
now.
right.
So just from a culture, reputation standpoint, I just don't like it at all. But moving on from that, we'll very quickly look ahead to Week 8. Cardinals and Packers play Thursday night. That should be a very fun game to watch. Cardinals are still undefeated. Thoughts on this one? Also, J.J. Watt is a wholehearted believer. He was saying on the sideline the one game, he's like, maybe we're just a little bit better. That's why we're undefeated.
I think
maybe we're just a little bit better with some obscenities sprinkled in.
I think the X factor in this game is going to be how well will the Packers offense thrive without Devontae Adams, him being on the COVID reserve list. Arizona's defense has proven it, though. They've done well this season. But, yeah, that should be a good game. But it stinks that Devontae Adams isn't playing. I wish he could be, he would have been a real big factor in this game if he had been playing. So.
Yeah, it looks like Arizona's offense has been clicking on all cylinders like this whole season before they acquired Zach Ertz, and now they just have one more weapon for Kyler Murray to use, and that's going to be a great asset going forward.
Yeah, this is a Cardinals dub, most likely. I mean, without Devontae Adams, I think the Cardinals had more talent anyways than the Packers, but without Devontae Adams, I think the Cardinals are just the better team. But I wouldn't count out Aaron Rodgers any day. I mean, he gets the ball.
Never count out the discount double check.
Yeah. I mean, he gets the ball back with 30 seconds left. Who knows what he can
And
do.
historically, this matchup has been great. I mean, I remember it went into overtime a few years ago. So, yeah.
And like those playoff matchups?
Yes,
so
exactly.
nice. Larry Fitz. I miss Larry Fitz.
Oh, I know.
yeah, Larry Fitzgerald.
These were some classic battles back in the day. Yeah, this should be a fun one. And I love the point you made, Chris. I mean, with the addition of Zach Ertz, they're only a higher caliber offense now. I like the Cards in this one. I honestly hope I like the Cards.
I think I have a prediction. I think NFC Championship game, Cardinals, Buccaneers.
I could definitely see it.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great one too.
Yeah, I think it would be too. But going on from that, Joe Flacco resurfacing. He is coming back to the Jets after Wilson got injured in a trade with the Eagles. How do we feel about Flacco and all of this? I mean, in my mind, he's always been kind of just a average quarterback. I'm sure
Joe Flacco, I think, is a lot better of a quarterback than people give him credit for. But at the same time, I got to feel bad for Flacco for this move. He's got to go to the Jets. But hopefully he can find a role as a mentor for Zach Wilson. And I think that would hopefully help the Jets if they can get their act together for the rest of the offense and, of course, everywhere else on the field because, as we all know, they need help. So hopefully Flacco can help out Zach Wilson.
If it were me and I were Joe Flacco and I'm going to a Jets team, risking, getting sacked, getting CTE,
my health, my
brain
well-being.
injury, at the end of the day, do I consider retirement?
He
Yes.
does have a Super Bowl victory,
Yes,
does
I
he
do.
not?
Is he?
Didn't they win when they beat? Did they beat the?
No,
49ers?
Flacco has a Super Bowl. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah, Flacco has
got a Super Bowl.
He's in
got a
perfect
ring.
position. Just leave. Just leave. You got a family. You got a wife. Probably kids. I don't know. But just go back to that. You don't need to enter this Jets organization and try to help Zach Wilson. There is no help for Zach Wilson. It's an organizational thing. So I mean, just retire. But I wish him the best. Hopefully he does well.
I don't have much thought on it. I mean, Joe Flacco is in the tail end of his career. He's riding into the sunset. I mean, he'll help the Jets because they need a quarterback with Zach Wilson being out for an extended period of time. But yeah, I don't really think much of this move other than congrats to the Jets. They've got a quarterback now. So
Yeah, I don't have many thoughts on it either. I just wanted to see if anybody would bring up the Cam Newton conversation again because there are potentially.
I don't know if Cam Newton would want to go to the Jets.
Yeah, I think
I see that.
Yeah, I also think Cam Newton though would be happy to just play football. At least if I was a professional football player.
But no, but he-
I would be.
The Seahawks were talking about maybe getting Cam, and Cam denied them.
Interesting. Seahawks are not good this year, by the way.
Cam's had too many bad memories with the Seahawks.
Maybe. Yeah.
But real quick, before we run out of time, I know there's not some big baseball people here, but Game 1 of the World Series is tonight between the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros. And I just want to talk about this because of the history with the Houston Astros, the big old cheaters. And I know there's allegations that other teams have cheated too and all of this stuff, but specifically the Astros because they were in the spotlight of it all. How do you guys feel about this World Series? Who do you think's going to win? And I mean, at least in my eyes, I feel like everyone in the world is going for the Braves except for Astros fans. I know me, I'm not a Braves fan, but I want the Braves to win.
I hate the Braves, and I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, I'm a Yankees fan, and I wanted the Red Sox to beat the Astros, to put it into perspective.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I would be okay with either team getting blown out of the water. I think, like, I'm a big Phillies fan, and so like I just can't stand the Braves whatsoever. So, and they're a good team. Like, if I were a Braves fan, like, they're a likable team with Acuna and everybody else, and Freeman and all those guys.
Ozzie.
Yeah, Ozzie. I mean, like, Ozzie's a great guy. Ozzie's awesome. So like. They're a good team. There's nothing specifically to hate about them except they're my rival, and so I guess
the same way as a Nationals fan.
Exactly. So anyways, no, I guess like I don't know. I don't know what I'm rooting for, but I don't like the Astros either. So
I'll be cheering for the Braves again. I just got into baseball recently. I've got 2 roommates who are huge Braves fans. They're gonna be rooting for them to win the series. But I think I approach this series kind of like how I approached most Monday night football games. I just want to see a good game. I just want to see 2 teams playing their best, going at it without any cheating or anything extra going on. And hopefully the best team will come out and win. But yeah, the Braves winning would be an incredible Cinderella story for sure.
I would just like to say the Nationals beat the Braves beat the Astros rather while they were still cheating. So
I know, and I loved that too.
Yes, that was great.
I was going for the Nationals in that series because it's anyone but the Astros, and yeah, I think sadly the Astros will win. Yeah, just the Braves are kind of that Cinderella team. In baseball, it's kind of the hottest team wins.
Yeah, they have almost no playoff experience. I mean, what was the last time the Braves went to the playoffs?
1999, I believe, was the last time they went to the World Series.
The Astros picture. The last game against I forget what his name was, but against the Red Sox, that game, was it game 6, game 7, whatever it was. He threw 6 or 7 balls that were faster than any ball he's ever thrown. So he had to have been using something like some kind of sticky stuff on his head. I don't even know, but he had to have been using something. So I think the Astros are still cheating, to be honest.
Yeah, it was the White Sox series. There was some speculation of sign stealing, and sign stealing is legal in baseball as long as you're not using technology to do it. I mean, that's a part of the game. But there was some speculation. I honestly don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they were still cheating, but just please Braves, somehow win. That's all I care about. But if there's no further thoughts, let's jump into our shout-outs for tonight as we close out another episode of Sports Wrap.
Shout out to NASCAR driver Kyle Larson, driver of the number 5 Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. He won his 9th career victory this season, obviously the championship favorite for the Cup Series. He was also the first driver to win 3 straight races twice in a season since Dale Earnhardt. The Intimidator did it back in 1987. So congrats to Kyle Larson, who a year ago at this time was suspended. Great comeback story. I hope he wins the championship.
As always, shout out back to my family, mom, dad, Amy Shea, my mum who's always listening, and shout out Mark who's listening right now.
Mark.
But no, also shout out to my Hornets, 3-1, not playing too bad. Hopefully we can pick this up and be top 6 seeds moving forward.
Yeah, I gotta get my regular shout outs out of the way. So shout out to all my family back in Virginia and North Carolina. Shout out to my fiance. I know she's asleep in her dorm right now, but shout out to you, Lindsay. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to Max Verstappen, Formula One driver. Won his first race on U.S. soil with the United States Grand Prix this past Sunday, and he is currently leading the championship fight against Lewis Hamilton, so he's hoping to break up another streak. So, yeah, go Max.
I like it. I like all the shout-outs. Mine is going to be to Carmelo Anthony. I like Melo. He's always been a favorite of mine in the NBA. And he came back for the Lakers the other night, put up a great shooting performance. Nothing has changed. What a pickup. Shout out Carmelo Anthony. With that being said, thank you for listening to Sports Wrap, sponsored by Eggers Law Firm on 90.5 WASU-FM. For Ben Cole, Chris Affolder, Riley Carlson, and Josh Scott, saying so long and see you Thursday at 6 o'clock.